What I strongly believe is nothing is a waste until it gets wasted. I think it's the human mindset. We think that something is waste, but it might be something precious for somebody else. And for me, this single-use plastic is a precious material, just like it is gold or diamond for somebody else. Hello, my name is Swapna Namboodiri. I'm basically from India, but since past 7 years we have been living in Qatar, and I'm an upcycling artist. So I work with all kinds of single-use plastic and create sculptural artworks or installations out of it. Back in India, after my schooling, I did my engineering, which is totally not related to arts. And fortunately, after engineering, I got placed in one of the software giants, Infosys Technologies, and I was working as software engineer for almost 6 years. But I was not kind of enjoying it. I was just mechanically going and doing the coding part and coming back. So in between that, I got married. And we got blessed with a beautiful daughter, and at that time I was not able to spend much time with my family, and it was kind of a struggle. So I thought it's not my path, I should take a break and just let myself breathe for some time. So that's when me and my husband decided, okay, I'll take some break from software field, and that's how I started spending more time with paints and brush. Till that day it was kind of hobby for me. I used to spend my evenings after coding job. I used to enjoy that time. So when I started spending more time with paints and brushes, I started exploring more of myself. And at that time my baby was just 1 year old, and I could see her growing up. And at the same time, my interest was also growing as a passion, and that's how it all began. I started exploring with different mediums, impasto techniques with different mediums like paper, metals, glass, and I used to paint a lot on glass. And when I saw the plastic bottles, I never felt like throwing it, and I kept piling it up without any reason. So one day I thought, just out of curiosity, maybe I'll experiment the same technique that I was using on glass on plastics. That was kind of a revelation. I was like, oh my God, let me just try it. So I just started cutting bottles randomly without any plans, and started experimenting with all sorts of paint. Then I started experimenting with lots of bottles. Fortunately or unfortunately, there is a lot of plastic usage here. The amount of plastic consumption is really scary. I started using more and more single-use plastic and creating bigger or smaller works which uses more plastics. So initially I started with our own plastic usage. As I said, there are lots of plastic consumption in each and every family, starting from the milk and water. Everywhere there is plastic bottles, and unfortunately it has become part of our lifestyle. So it's not good. If you take 10 families like that, every week there will be more than hundreds of plastic bottles just going to the trash. So initially I just started with my pile of plastic bottles. And right now I'm getting bottles from my friends, their compounds and restaurants, and also just when you pass by the road you will get bottles everywhere. So every time I go out, there will be a bag or anything with me. I randomly collect the bottles. Only thing is it needs a bit more cleaning needed. Otherwise I take them with me, and that's the collection part. So I come back home, I clean it again, then all the bottles or anything will have wrappers. All those wrappers will be removed. Each of these wrappers will go into some or the other sculptures, because I fuse the plastic bags as well to create some textures. So maybe these wrappers will go with them, and then I start cutting. So initially it will just be in my rack, because I start spontaneously and I create collections like 5 or 10 pieces. So the first place will be in the rack, then I start cutting them in different shapes. I like repetitive shapes, mostly circles or some organic shapes, and I start cutting them in different portions, mostly according to the textures. So it can be repetitive pattern in my artworks as well. And then I cut them and sort them in different patterns. Sometimes I don't get time to sort it, and I just randomly pick the bottles and start working, but it's okay. I like to be spontaneous at times. Yeah, that's how the beginning stage starts. And then after cutting, my painting starts. Sometimes I like to keep it without colors, just the natural bottle textures and that transparent shade. But otherwise I use mixed mediums. Like I experiment with lot of mediums, like acrylics, oils, glass paints, spray paints. I use all these and just go crazy with all those paints. That's it. And most of the time I like colors, as I said. I go with the theme of any natural patterns. Yeah, that's how the process starts. So in some patterns I like to get some bends or some other patterns, so I tend to experiment with boiling water. I do not prefer exposing the plastics to direct flame. So what I thought was I'll maybe just like the chocolates, I'll use the boiling water, try and experiment it that way, but it worked. So there are certain types of LDPE which can be treated with boiling water. So I use them to bend my petals. And even while joining the plastic pieces, I randomly follow different techniques. I don't prefer sticking it with glue. I have tried it before, but it doesn't work in a long run. So right now what I'm doing is I attach them like with the metal wires or rivets, and even with the wood I screw them or hand stitch them with the metal wires. And sometimes I don't even use the wire. I just make the wire out of the plastic bottle itself and hand stitch them onto the canvas or to the fabric. So that is small details that I follow in the work. It is different in each of the process. I like all the structures and patterns in nature. So my theme is always around the patterns, mostly in the flowers and the coral reefs. And as I said, I like to follow the organic shapes in the petals, and I like to keep it like repetitive patterns of coral reefs or flowers. Most of the and I also feel that these flowers and coral reefs are interconnected somehow, because we see the flowers on earth, on the land, and the coral reefs underwater. That's the only difference. They are equally beautiful. So I get inspired by both of these. The coral reefs I chose personally because I think the plastic is threatening mostly the ocean lives, and somehow the coral reef itself is a biggest ecosystem for many of the marine lives. So because of the plastic pollution, that part of our planet is threatened mostly. So that's why I personally chose that theme, because somebody seeing the artwork and willing to own the artwork is not just owning that piece of art, but a message as well. You know, even the audience get that message about, okay, one single-use plastic could be converted into something meaningful. So I think that is more relevant and connected to me. So my biggest support is my family, especially since I'm working with this unconventional material. I need that sort of back support to keep going. And yeah, my husband, my family, they are the biggest support. And sometimes it's fun to, you know, work together. My daughter, she likes to maybe sometimes cut smaller plastic in different shapes. When I have bigger works, like installations, sometimes she helps me in cleaning also, and also sometimes she likes to arrange or you know, sort my things and maybe even packing. Especially my husband also helps me in packing my artworks for shipping, and my son, he loves to draw right now, and yeah, he loves to explore my studio space and find out all the paints and different materials. He's a big explorer. Yeah, and it's fun to work together sometimes when there is no sharp materials or paints lying around. Yeah, they are my biggest support. What I strongly believe is nothing is a waste until it gets wasted. I think it's the human mindset. We think that something is waste, but it might be something precious for somebody else. And for me, this single-use plastic is a precious material, just like it is gold or diamond for somebody else. So it is us who decide the value of the material. So I think as a human being, we need to be open and change our mindset a little bit, and our vision towards all these material, and not being judgmental towards all these material. Then we will find some sort of beauty in all these trash and will appreciate that beauty.